The topic today is how to write good cold emails. And so let's just jump right in. The agenda for today, we're going to talk about some email do's and don'ts that you can keep in mind with when you're writing and your emails and sending your emails. We'll go through a process that you can use, and you can actually copy the process to create your own emails. I'll share the process with you, and then I'll also actually share cold email templates that you can copy as is and use for yourself or use as a starting place to create your own emails. And then we'll talk about some best practices on sending those emails. So laser focused agenda. Let's just start out with some email do's and don'ts. The first do is take a step back. What you're trying to do here is you're trying to send some emails, you're trying to sell something, you're trying to engage with prospects, you're trying to write emails. Before you do any of that, take a step back and try to understand the person that you're trying to communicate with, that you're emailing, that you're trying to sell to. I recommend doing this really in whether you're emailing, whether you're calling, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're arguing with someone, whatever. It's always very productive to try to understand the other person that you're trying to interact with or the other person that you're trying to communicate with. And so if we think about the people that we are cold emailing, you can just assume that the person that you're sending emails to is extremely busy. Most likely you're trying to contact a business owner or a manager, most likely a decision maker, someone who has some level of power and authority, and those people are busy. And especially if you're doing B2B selling, you're contacting people and they're working. So it's safe to assume that they're busy. It's also safe to assume that the person that you're emailing gets a lot of emails from other salespeople. You have to keep this in mind. If you were the only person sending an email to the prospect, you wouldn't have to worry so much about what you're saying and what you're doing because there's less competition. But there's a ton of competition and there's a ton of noise, and your email's coming in as part of that, and you need to factor that in terms of your strategy and how you communicate and what you communicate. I think it's really helpful and important to be aware that humans care about their own stuff. People care about their kids. People care about their own interests. Whether you completely agree with that or agree with that only a little bit, apply it to a business person that you're trying to sell to. They care more about their job security, their income, or how comfortable their job work-life balance is, their opportunity for promotion. It's important for you to understand that the person that you're communicating with cares more about their stuff than your stuff. This does not mean that you can't talk to someone about your stuff or get them interested in your stuff, but from a primary initial standpoint, when you send your email, they don't really care about your stuff. They're probably caring more about their stuff. And just also based on the odds of the timing of your email, most likely the prospect is not in buying mode for what you sell. If you were sending a warm email, now bear in mind we're talking about cold emailing. If you were sending a warm email, for example, let's say someone sent a message to your company website saying contact me, and then your email is a response to that, that's a warm email, and they are likely in buying mode, and you can communicate in a different way, a more direct way about what you sell and the company you work for. But if your email is a cold email, the odds that the prospect is sitting at their desk thinking about what you sell and thinking about needing to buy what you sell is extremely low. Not saying you can't time it just right, but it's more likely that they are not in buying mode than that they are. And this does not mean that you can't sell to them, but if you agree with that assumption, it could or should impact how you communicate and what you say. The other thing is that I personally believe that most people and prospects delete incoming cold emails without reading them or reading very little of them. I call this the instant delete. It's kind of the same thing as when you check your physical mail at your mailbox at home, you likely have a lot of junk mail. And think about how you throw away a lot of mail without barely looking at it. You're looking at something for a couple seconds and you're looking for something, a clue that can tell you that you don't need to look at that and you can throw it away and save your time. And I think that people use the same process when they're checking their email. So those are some things that I think if you agree with those, this can give you a better understanding of the person that you're emailing. If you understand the person that you're emailing a little bit better, you're in a better position to create a better email. And we're going to apply all of these to the emails that we create. So if you don't agree with any of these, then you might not really appreciate the emails that we create. The next do that I have for you is to modify your mindset with the emails that you create. Your natural instinct is to want to create and write something that gets the prospect to read your email. You want to create an email that gets the prospect to reply. That's a fair desire and goal. And ultimately, your goal is to get the prospect to buy what you sell. But what I want you to do is I want you to kind of shift your mindset. Another thing to focus on is instead of trying to achieve all of those things, you could simply just design your email so that you minimize how quickly a prospect deletes the message, right? So these are kind of two opposite things. One is trying to get them to reply, open, buy. The other thing is, let's just decrease how quickly someone deletes our email, right? So if you can decrease how quickly they delete your email, that's a win. And it's not to say that what we're going to do to accomplish that won't help with what's on the left side, but let's start out by maybe trying to minimize how quickly they delete the message. Now, one thing to factor in is that what's on the left side, these are things that you can achieve, but get the right strategy to where you execute at a high level. On the left side, it's complicated and it's difficult. Not saying it's impossible, but the thing is that to make small changes so that the prospect is a little bit slower to deleting your email and maybe looks at it a little bit longer, there's some very straightforward and easy things that you can do there. So let's start there. Let's just start by getting people to look at our emails a little longer and a little slower to delete them, and then maybe some of the other stuff can fall in place. The key don't with your emails should be don't motivate an instant delete. One way to do that is to use brevity. The email that you send has a word count, the number of words in your email. You should do everything you can to minimize the word count. The longer the email, the quicker the instant delete. It's not rocket science, but if you agree with that assumption, you can decrease the instant delete by minimizing the word count. I want you to write out the email in terms of what you want to communicate, and then analyze it and think, do I need that sentence? What words can I get rid of to where I communicate the exact same thing with less words? Do I really need to share that in this message? Can I break what I'm trying to say here into more than one message? Another thing that I think can help with decreasing the instant delete rate is to not sound like a salesperson. So if you're in a sales role, I don't know how many cold emails you receive from salespeople. I receive a large number of cold emails every single day. And all of these people are trying to sell something. And as soon as I can tell that the email is someone trying to sell something, and they're trying to do it in a pushy, product pushing way, I instantly delete the email. So my advice would be to decrease sounding like a salesperson. The message that I help you to create, the templates I give you will help with this. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying to mislead, to manipulate, to hide that you're a salesperson. I'm saying communicate in a more professional way that maybe is more consultative, or that you are presenting yourself more as a representative of a company or a business person than a pushy, pesky salesperson. Because we know and we're assuming that humans care more about their own stuff than your stuff, well, let's use that assumption and that awareness to our advantage. And what we can do is we can make the email more about the prospect than about us. Going back to the fact that I receive a lot of cold emails every day. And so what I can tell you is 98% of the emails that I get from salespeople, the cold emails, they are all about the salesperson. They are all about what the salesperson sells, their company, and they're trying to get, and they're sounding like a salesperson. So we can turn that upside down and be more consultative to make it more about the prospect. If you can do that, I'm not saying that you're instantly going to get replies to all your emails and that you're going to, everybody's going to be replying wanting to buy what you sell. But what you can do is you can decrease the instant delete rate. And if you if you get your email to stay alive a little bit longer, it can help. Another thing that I personally believe can help with decreasing the instant delete rate is to decrease how much your email looks like a mass email. A mass email is where a salesperson or a company creates one email and sends it out to the same email to a lot of people. Now, let's go back to the mailbox at your home where you're checking and you notice that you receive junk mail. When you notice that a mail is maybe a direct mail piece sent to a lot of people, you know that you could throw it away without missing anything because it's sent to a lot of people. Now let's look at the other extreme of that, which is picture checking your mail at home, your physical mail, and you receive an envelope with your address and the return address handwritten. You will be much slower to throw this away. Most likely you will open this piece of mail and look at what's inside. The reason why is because this is a one-to-one letter that's been personally sent to you, and so you will take a risk by not looking at this because it's not a one-to-many email. I personally believe you can apply the same logic to emails. Now, while emails aren't handwritten, there are small things you can do in your email to make it look like it's more one-to-one. For example, when salespeople create and send one-to-one emails to prospects or to contacts or to business people, they typically spend less time on the formatting of the email in terms of bolding certain words or making hyperlinks or adding graphics or borders or formatting. Basically, humans are lazy, right? So when you're sending an email to a lot of people, you will spend this time making it look pretty. When you send an email, just in the same way that if you're sending a letter to someone that's a physical letter, you might be less likely to type out the address. You just write it by hand. So there's that level of laziness and effort that goes into one-to-one communications just by human nature. And you can, so if you make your email look like it was a little bit more lazy, which sounds counterintuitive, make it look less nice and less formatted. And there's small things you can do like that to make it look less like a mass email. Now, one of the biggest things in your email, in your cold email, from a strategy standpoint, is that I believe that you should try to not sell the product, but sell the meeting. And what I mean by that is, I personally think that there's three main steps that you should go through as a salesperson. So you have the initial contact. In a cold email scenario, the initial contact is sending an email to someone. And then the next step might be a meeting. It could be an appointment, could be a conversation, but there's some sort of meeting that takes place, and then that might lead to some sort of presentation. This could be a formal presentation, could be just discussing pricing options. But I personally think most sales scenarios go through these three steps. My advice for your cold email is to design your email to where it focuses on the meeting, which is the second step, and not selling the product. You may say, well, yeah, of course, that makes sense. But let's go back to that large number of cold emails that I get every day. They almost 100% or 90 some odd percent all focus on selling the product. Let me give you an example. So let's say you work for a company and you sell CPA services. If you send an email and you say, are you guys currently looking to change CPA firms, right? even knowing there has to be a conversation there, like you're not going to reply to the email and say, yes, we are, I'll hire you, or what's your pricing. There's some sort of process there. But if the email is trying to confirm, I sell this, do you need what I sell? You are selling the product. And I personally think you can take a step before that and just try to start the conversation. All the email templates I share with you today will show you that. It's difficult to get a hold of people, whether you're sending emails, whether you're making calls. So you should assume that in order to get a hold of people and connect and engage, it's going to take a multi-touch approach. This not only means maybe in addition to emails, also phone calls and other ways of communicating, but regarding emails, you should assume and have a strategy where you're going to send multiple emails to your contact. So sure, you may get engaged on the first email that you send, but just assume that you're going to have to send more than one. And when the prospect doesn't reply, or you just keep sending your series of emails, plan on creating a series of emails. You likely have a story to tell and a lot of information to communicate. And because of a couple things we've already discussed, because you need to keep your emails short, and because you are going to send multiple emails, you can use those different email messages, you can use those to educate the prospect on who you are, how you can help, and why they should talk to you. Don't be apologetic in your email messages. I see a lot of emails that say stuff like, hey, I'm sorry to bother you today. I know you're busy. I won't take too much of your time. And I could go on with other examples, but this type of language is extremely weak. If you sell something that offers value, that, let's say, decreases costs, improves some sort of business process, helps in some sort of way, then you should not be so weak in how you're opening your message. It's fair to be respectful of people's times, and it's also sophisticated to show that you understand the prospect in terms of being aware that they are extremely busy. But to start out your cold email with apologizing or talking about how busy they are, it communicates that what you have is not worth their time, or that you're not confident in what you sell. And you can be professional, you can be respectful with not saying any of these things. Something I see an incredible amount is, we discussed that you're going to have to send more than one email, because most likely, it's very likely that the prospects aren't going to reply to your first email for sure, maybe your first, second, or third. You're going to have to continue to email them. And I don't reply to, a lot of these emails. I told you I get a lot and I delete them. And it's amazing how many of the second attempts come in with something like, hey, did you see my last email? Did you read my last email? You never replied to my last email. I never heard back from you on my last email. I just want to show you what this looks like, because I've actually copied some emails, and these are real emails. Did you ever receive my email about the candidates we have? I just wanted to see if you caught my last message. I just want to touch base since I didn't hear back from you. Did you get a chance to look at my message? I reached out to you a few weeks ago with no reply. I personally don't know what this achieves. If you're trying to guilt the person into replying and make them feel bad, I personally think that's counterproductive. It damages rapport. I just think there's nothing to achieve with this. I do think that you can create a series of emails where one picks up on where the other left off. Like, you could follow up an email to say, following up on my last message, where and you kind of create a string, a series. I'm fine with that. But the calling out that they never replied, I personally don't know what that achieves. I think it's a negative frame to carry. I think it's kind of weak. And it's a waste of words. If nothing else, those are words you can get rid of if you buy into my logic of decreasing word count. All right, so let's now talk about building and creating your messages. We are here today to create email messages. A lot of clients come to SalesScripter to get us to help them to create their email messages, and that's what we're here to talk about. We also have a lot of clients that come to us to help them to create their call scripts. Now, in either of these scenarios, when we have a client that has these needs and they want us to create these different documents or sales tools for them, I always take a step back, and instead of creating these documents, I first want to create the sales message. And the sales message is really the foundation that you can then use to create the emails and to create the call script. You can also use the sales message to create voicemail scripts, the objection responses, appointment script, presentation, marketing tools. Think of the sales message as the foundation that everything can be built on. It's like if you were building a house, you lay out and create the foundation of concrete before you build the individual rooms. If you did not have that foundation, it would be more difficult or less successful to create the individual rooms. So your sales message is the same way. It's the foundation, and once you have that, it will be much easier to create those individual things. By the way, I'm with SalesScripter, and this is where SalesScripter comes from, is that years ago I realized if I create the sales message, I can create all these different deliverables, and that's basically how SalesScripter works, is that it gives you a place to organize and build your sales message, and then the software creates all these different documents. So we're talking about a sales message, and you may think, well, I don't have a sales message, or I've never used a sales message, or I don't know what a sales message is. The reality is that every salesperson uses a sales message, even if they haven't really organized it in their head or on paper. What most salespeople use is a product selling sales message. By the way, those cold emails I get every day, those cold emails are utilizing a product selling sales message. And those emails sound something like this. Hey, this is who I'm with. This is what we sell. This is what we do and how it works, and this is what it includes. Maybe an email might not include pricing, but the call script or the appointment script follows along with this flow. And the goal of every interaction, whether it's a cold call, an email, an appointment, every interaction is focused on getting a new customer. And I do know that, like I said already, of course, cold emails can't most likely secure a customer. Regardless what you sell, it doesn't, a customer can't reply to the email and say, I buy this. But people communicate in a way where they're saying, this is what I sell. Do you need what I sell today? That way of communicating, that sales message is all around getting a new customer. So what this process looks like, believe it or not, salespeople, even if they haven't gone through like SalesScripter or the thorough process that I'm talking about, they still utilize this structure, because what they have for their sales message is the company, all of the details they've been trained on with, this is who I work for, this is what I sell, this is what it does and whatnot. Those buckets of knowledge that often gets shot in their head with a fire hose through maybe some new hire training, that's the knowledge that becomes the foundation. And when they cold call, they send emails, they leave voicemails, they deliver presentations, they're just pulling from that knowledge, and that's their sales message. And that's where you end up with product pushing salespeople, that their emails are all about me and who I work for, and this is what I do. This is an example of a product selling cold email that I get every day. Hi Michael, I'm with Websites Redesigned for You. We're based in New York and have been providing web design services for 15 years. Our services include web design, digital marketing, pay-per-click advertising, search engine optimization. We won many awards in the area of web design and digital marketing. Are you looking to redesign your website? Let me know if you're available for a meeting to discuss how our services can help you. This is an extremely common cold email. This breaks a lot of the do's and don'ts that I laid out. It's all about the salesperson, talking about where they're based, what they sell. It's not about the prospect at all. This message is closing for the sale. right? Are you looking for a website? Again, there's no sign here to buy from us, but it's just validating, do you need what I sell? And if the prospect is not likely in buying mode, then the answer is no, I'm not. And the reality is that you could start the conversation and get engaged so that when they shift to being in buying mode, they can keep you in mind, and I'll show you in our email templates how you can do that. So now let's talk about, instead of using the product selling message, let's talk about using a consultative selling message. So instead of focusing on the company and the product, let's focus on how you can help the prospect in terms of benefits and the value you have to offer. Let's talk about the problems that the prospect might have that you can help make go away and their pain points. I believe the best salesperson is the one that asks the best questions. So if you're looking for the prospects that have the pain that you can help make go away, a good thing to do is ask questions and see if they have those problems or those pain points. A great way to explain how you can help and build interest and build credibility is to share examples of other customers that you've helped. And certainly, I'm not saying to never talk about your company or product. You need to do that, and especially in order to build interest. But there's an optimum way to do it, which you need to explain what you do in terms of features, but you focus on how you're different from the competition, the ROI you can deliver, maybe any bragging points about your company. And the goal of your communications is to start the conversation. And once you start the conversation, your goal, instead of getting a new customer, your goal is to progress to the next step of the sales process. So if you're in the meeting step, your goal is not to sell the product, your goal is to progress to the presentation step. So if we go back to this model here, and then what the foundation we need to build looks like this: value, pain points, questions, customer examples, product details, company details. And see, we do have the company and product in here, but on purpose, I'm putting it towards the end, right? Which is the same place it should be in your cold emails and in your call script. I want you to focus on the customer, the prospect first, their problems, how you can help them. More powerful consultative details focus on first, and then it's the secondary part of either the conversation or the email series that you begin to talk about your product and company, and I'll show you how that works. So you may see that foundation and those buckets and say, okay, well, that kind of makes sense, but I don't know what to put in those buckets. Well, I'm going to take you through a process here that you can copy and you can use on your own. And this is a process to fill up those buckets to create your sales message. And then when you have your sales message, you can take these templates that I'm going to give you and you can fill in the templates with your sales message, and there you'll have some cold email messages. So we're going to start with the product. Then we're going to try to think about who are you targeting with these cold emails. When your product is provided, by the way, when I say product, I also mean services. So if you sell something services, this actually works better if you sell services than products. But anytime I say products, it's products or services. So when your product or service is delivered to the target that you identify, what are the benefits that are realized? What are the pain points that are made to go away? What are questions you can ask to see if those pain points exist? And what is an example that you can share of someone else that you've helped? Let's start with going through each of these steps, and I'm going to give you some examples of what each of these steps looks like. So the product basically is, what is it you're ultimately trying to sell to the prospect? Even knowing we're not trying to push the product, we're trying to sell the meeting or move the prospect through the sales process. To create your sales message, what is it you ultimately at the end of this that you want to sell? Think about also the features of that product and identify how you differ from the competition and if you have any bragging points. So I'm going to go through a fictitious example here. I've used this before in other training videos, but I like to use a very simple product, which is a Health and Fitness Club membership. This is something that's simple for us to get our hands around, something that everybody can relate to. But Health and Fitness Club, the features of a Health and Fitness Club would include weights, exercise equipment, classes, pool, sauna, whatnot. Now let's think about who we're trying to target with this cold email, because when you change the target, and the target could be The target is the potential customer that you're trying to reach, and you could maybe think of different types of organizations or individuals, maybe different sizes in terms of employees or revenue, maybe the different geography, different industries, different departments, different titles. And so you could skip this. You could just say, oh, I'm targeting businesses or I'm targeting individuals. You could just use a broad target. But when you get specific or when you change industries, the value, the pain points, and the questions could change. So you could end up creating an email campaign that's very focused on a particular target buyer. Or you could either do that later when if you want to kind of crawl, walk, run. The run might be having a more target focused email messages, but in the beginning you could maybe just target businesses or target individuals. For our example here, we're selling Health and Fitness Club membership to individuals looking to get healthier, right? Now here's a good example of how the target buyer can be different. There's different types of people that join a fitness club. You have people that need to get healthier, then you also have people that are extremely healthy that are looking to maintain, right? Those would be two different sales messages. We're going to build a sales message for the people that need to get healthier, but as we go through these benefits and pain points, notice that these would not apply to someone who's already healthy. So if you were to use this sales message for prospects that are already healthy, it would not connect or wouldn't build interest. It wouldn't hit the right hot buttons. So that's an example of the different target impacts the sales message, and ultimately when you do get to the crawl, walk, run, you could have a different series of sets of cold emails for the different target buyers that you're reaching. Now let's talk about brainstorming the value that your service or product has to offer. We actually see the world as having three different types of value. So you have technical value, which is improving different processes or symptoms, and this doesn't apply to only technology, but making something work better. And when you deliver technical value, you usually create some sort of business value, like decreasing costs, increasing revenue, improving services. And then when you deliver business value and technical value, you usually create some sort of personal value for the person that you're selling to, meaning helping them to work less, make more money, get better bonus at the end of the year, improve their job security, promotion. So if we go back to thinking about how a health and fitness club helps people looking to get healthier, we help those people to become healthier. We help them to decrease stress, feel better, become more confident, improve personal relationships, decrease medical costs, transform their life. Most people that sell gym memberships, not all of them, but some of the ones I've dealt with, they're product pushers. They talk about, let me give you a tour. Here's our equipment. Here are our classes. Here's our facility. That's pushing the product. They don't get into what are your goals? What are do you want to decrease stress? They don't get into the benefits. Think about if you were selling a gym membership and you focus on these benefits: life transformation, decreasing stress, improving relationships. That's really where you can motivate someone. Especially picture putting a contract on the desk with a high price per month for this facility. How are you going to be better able to close that sale when you're talking about treadmills or you're talking about life transformation, right? So and notice we're talking about your sales message. So this is stuff you can use when you're cold calling, when you're closing the deal, when you're in the presentation, but you can also use this stuff for your cold emails, and I'll show you how to do that. Now, in order to brainstorm your technical value, here are some questions. You can get these if you get the slide, but does your service help to improve processes, make anything work better, save time, whatnot? Here are questions to brainstorm business value. Do you help to decrease costs, improve revenue, improve profitability? Here are some questions that you can ask yourself on personal value. Do you improve personal income, decrease stress, improve happiness, improve job security? Once you've brainstormed your value, you can organize the pain that you help to make go away in the three same levels of technical pain, business pain, and personal pain, in the same way that you can help improve things at technical, business, and personal levels. You can also solve pain points at those levels. And really the trick here is that if you brainstorm a good list of benefits and value points, you can use that to brainstorm pain points, because usually each benefit has an inversely correlated pain point. So when you make something better, you usually make a problem go away. And so you can see here, here's a list of pain points for those people that need to get healthier that they often have. We can then progress to questions that could be asked, and here's another trick to go through this process. If you have a good list of pain points, for each pain point is usually a good question to ask. So that's a good way. You could agree with, yeah, I should ask more questions, but I don't know what to ask. Well, this is a good way to figure out what questions to ask. And here are some standard current environment questions. You could just copy these and modify your list of current environment questions. Current environment questions are questions that help you to understand what's going on with that particular person. And you can use your value points to try to think of name drop examples. So if you help in these different ways, try to think of a customer example that you delivered that help to, and that can help you to create a name drop example. Once you create all that, you brainstorm a few bullet points in each of those buckets, then you have your sales message. And you can use that to create all those different documents, and what I'll show you here in a second is how to use that to fill in some cold email templates. Now, in terms of creating your cold email messages, one place to start, we've already identified we're going to send more than one cold email message, so we're going to create a series. Now we need to create different topics for those emails, and we're going to spread our story, our sales message across different emails. Well, we could use each of those areas of our sales message for different emails. So we can create an email that talks about benefits, an email that talks about pain points. Each of these items here could be a different email message. Another question that's often asked with creating cold email messages is, what are good subject lines? By the way, I get this a lot where people are often saying, what is a good subject line that will get someone to open the email or get someone to reply to the email? I use the same logic with subject lines that I do with the email message, which is, instead of trying to create a subject line that gets the prospect to open the email, try to create a subject line that minimizes the instant delete. For example, if you have a subject line that has a bunch of exclamation points, capital, all caps words, uses words like discount, promotion, maybe some emoticons, that tells the prospect that you are a salesperson trying to sell something. So if you can decrease some of that, then maybe you can not motivate the instant delete. So I create subject lines that are almost kind of benign. They're not designed to create all this motivation for action or interest. More so, they're just trying to not get you shot out of the water. And so subject lines that I think are good, you could use all of those items that I just showed you for the email topics, and all of the individual points that you brainstormed make good subject lines. For example, if you brainstorm a list of bullet points for your value points, one of those value points are usually good subject lines. Pain points are great subject lines. So now let's go through some email templates, and basically you could copy these and then you can fill them in with your sales message. Now, I'm not going to say that these are perfect and that you'll love these or you'll use these exactly as is. You can, and I think I use these exactly as is, so you could love them and use them. But what my hope would be that they give you a good starting place and a good structure for you to build on. And so here is a value points cold email message. So the subject line, we just use one of our value points as a subject line. And then it's hello prospect. The reason for the email is that we help sales managers to improve how they train their new reps, increase the rate of their reps getting into new accounts, and decrease sales staff turnover. I don't know if you want to improve any of those areas, and that's why I'm reaching out. Are you available for a 15 to 20 minute meeting where I can share some examples how we've helped other sales managers to improve the performance of their individual reps? A few things here. One is very economic on the word count. I'm not saying who I'm with and what we sell. That will be, my signature will say my company, and there will be a link to my website, so the prospect can get to that information. And I'm not pushing the product, meaning I'm not saying, do you need what I sell? I'm selling the appointment. And this message is very focused on the benefits and the value that I have to offer. So it doesn't tell the whole story. It leaves some questions open, and but it also isn't product pushing, and this conforms. All these templates conform to those do's and don'ts. A very similar message. Now this focuses on the pain points that I offer. So the reason for the emails, we help sales managers with the challenges of it can take a long time to ramp up new reps. Reps aren't getting into new accounts. There's often reps having to be let go due to sales performance. I don't know if you're concerned about any of those challenges, but that's why I'm reaching out. And then the ending here is exactly the same. So again, economical on the word count and not product pushing, and we're starting to educate the prospect. Here's another email. So subject line is a value point, an improvement realized, and then this is going to use the name drop example. Reason for the email is we worked with XYZ Corporation and we help them to improve their new sales training process. This ultimately helped them to decrease the time it took for reps to get ramped up and decrease sales staff turnover. I don't know if we can help you in that same way, but that's why I'm reaching out. And then the ending here is exactly the same. Now this fourth email uses our pain questions. And I will tell you, this is not a great email to send by itself. This is an email that serves its place in a series of emails. But this email just basically uses a different part of our sales message. Hello prospect, I'm trying to determine if we can help you in the same way we've helped other clients. These are some of the questions that I would ask you to figure that out. And then here's your questions. Do any of those connect with a challenge or interest that you have? If so, let's put a brief conversation on the calendar. Best regards. So I'm not going to say that someone's going to reply to this, at a high rate with any answers to the questions. I'm still just trying to educate and communicate with the prospect. And this is we're getting later in the series. Now we're getting towards the end of the series, and this is actually a product email. So this is we're at email number 5 here, and this is what a lot of people might send as email number 1. So we can mention some company or product details in the subject line. Hello prospect. The reason for the email is we provide a sales prospecting software platform, and that includes a sales playbook library, CRM, email automation. Some ways we differ from other applications out there is we actually tell your reps what to say, and we make it crystal clear how to get around objections and what to put in emails. We decrease new sales hire training. Are you available for, and the ending is the same here. So that is a product message. And then we have email number 6 is a last attempt email. And the last attempt email could either use your value points or your pain points, but the subject line is checking in. Hello prospect, never heard back from you. I thought I would follow up one last time. The reason I'm trying to connect with you is that we help sales managers to, and then this could be a repeat of your benefits or your pain points. If I don't hear back from you, I'll assume you're not interested in those improvements or that you're not the right person to speak with, and I'll close the file. If I should be contacting someone else regarding this, any pointing in the right direction would be greatly appreciated, and then ending here. So that's email number 6. Now I'll give you one additional email. So you may sell something that people buy from time to time. For example, office supplies. So let's say you're calling and emailing to an office, and you know that they periodically buy office supplies. They're most likely currently buying from someone, and at some date in the future, they're going to need to place another order. Based on our assumptions, it's not likely that they get your email on the day that they're filling out an order or thinking about buying. So you could send a keep me in mind email, and so I'll just show you what this looks like. Keep us in mind is a subject line, and you could mention the product area or the product name or domain. Since you are a office manager, you might need to purchase office supplies from time to time. We provide a full portfolio of office supplies on demand. So keep us in mind when you're ready to make a purchase or make a change. Some ways we differ from other options out there is that we provide office supplies on demand. We have a more robust catalog. We provide free shipping, whatever. Let me know if you reach a point where you'd like to schedule a brief call to discuss. Best regards. So that's just another template. You can either just use that if you fit that category of kind of maybe selling more of a commodity item, or maybe you could send the email series and send that at the end. Again, this is all stuff that you can build on. So I want to wrap up real quick with some best practices on sending these cold emails. So I've just shown you a series of emails. We talked about how you should plan on sending more than one. So what I refer to this process as is sending an email thread. So this is an example of a thread. This is the exact thread that I just gave you templates for. So that my recommendation would be to use some sort of cold email thread. You can send emails manually if you're sending a thread, like you just manually send out that thread. There are plenty of tools out there to allow you to automate the delivery of your email messages. So I'm with SalesScripter. We have a full CRM and email automation. So not only does our software create the email templates that I just gave you, by the way, they get filled in with your email, with your sales message. And by the way, I talked about how you should create more than one sales message. The nice thing about SalesScripter is that it gives you a place to build all of your different sales messages, and then you have your different libraries of those email templates for all of your different sales messages. And then you can use our CRM to blast out those emails and either send them out to lists of contacts or to send out a series of emails scheduled to go out over a period of time and to create automatic email campaigns. If you send, most software that you use to send emails out will track opens and clicks. I would recommend you use a system that tracks opens and clicks. With SalesScripter, we actually assign a point system. So each contact gets 1 point when they open an email and 3 points when they click a link in an email. So as you're sending out automating all these emails, you're going to get a lot of email open and click data. And then what the point system allows us to do is to do lead scoring. So we use a system called Quality Points. Each contact in the CRM has a quality score, and it's basically all the points that they've accumulated. And this can help you. We're talking about cold emailing today. You should do some cold calling in parallel with that. What the lead scoring allows you to do is it can allow you to make more informed decisions on who to call. So if you're sending out all these emails, there's people that aren't opening and engaging with your emails, and you shouldn't call them. They shouldn't be the first people you call. You call the people that have points and have a positive lead score. The scheduling of your emails, whether you send emails manually or through a software application, I think that you should make your email look like it's being sent by a human. And one way to improve that is to send your email during business hours. So even though you could send emails at night or on the weekend, I personally like to send emails Monday through Friday between business hours. I like to send emails when it's more likely that someone will be at their desk versus in meetings. So I have the assumption that the most common meeting time is 9, 10 in the morning and 1 and 2 in the afternoon. So if you're scheduling your emails to go out, I do between 8 to 9, between 11 and 1, and then between 3 to 5 is when I usually send emails out. We're talking about cold emailing here and creating email messages. As you're going through that process, you're likely going to need to get email addresses for prospects. This is just sort of a bonus thought, is that you can actually guess email addresses if you don't have contact info. So most in B2B selling, This list here of these formats most likely include the format for the prospect that you're contacting. So if you know someone's first name, last name, and the domain website address for where they work, you can most likely guess their email address, and through trial and error, 3 to 4 attempts can get you there. It's a bit cumbersome if you're just trying to get into a small list of accounts. You can just guess your way there, but we actually provide an email guesser tool that runs an algorithm to where if you punch in those 3 values, it will do a test ping on each of those and tell you which is the correct email address. So check that out. That's it. That's all I got for you. Let me just wrap with pointing you to more information if you want more help. If you like this video, there's plenty more just like this on our YouTube channel. So be sure to go and check that out. If you want to help us in return for any of these tips, if you can like, comment, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel or to our videos, that is a great way for you to return the favor. What I've shown you here today is one piece of the Smart Sales System. The Smart Sales System is basically how we package everything that we have to offer, and SMART stands for Sales Messaging and Response Tactics. So you've heard me talk a lot here today about sales messaging, creating your sales message. Your email templates are part of your sales message. We also help with cold call scripts, and the RT or the R in SMART is responses. So how are you responding to objections? We also help with. So the system has 3 legs. The method, there's a methodology, which is our training methodology. What you've seen here is just one piece of our overall prospecting methodology. You can get access to the full Smart Sales System methodology on YouTube for free, so I'd encourage you to go there. The second leg of the 3-legged stool is a software platform, which is called SalesScripter, and the SalesScripter includes, I've talked about your sales message. There's actually a tool in SalesScripter called the Sales Message Builder that will help you to build your sales message. It'll take you step by step through the process. Once you have your sales message in SalesScripter, there's a library of scripts, email templates that get filled in with your message, and then we also have CRM functionality, email automation. And then the third leg of the 3-legged stool is professional services. So certainly we provide sales consulting and sales coaching to help you through getting all your stuff set up and get you going along the way. Here's my contact info if you have any questions. Hope this was helpful. Let me see if there are any questions.